Right. So if you can look at your picture there in chat.
All right, let's see what we're looking at.
Yes, you have. Thank you, Retro. All right. Have you seen this picture this week?
This is the new portrait of His Royal Majesty.
All right. Have you seen what
King
people have been
Charles the Pretender, I mean third.
Right. And have you seen what they've been comparing it to this week?
No.
Go on to the next picture down.
Viggy, you've been a bad monkey.
Of course, doing it on Discord's better, but...
Oh, hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Saturday Evenings Posted Mostly presents General Freaking Chaos. We have no idea what we're doing. We are here with Kat. And we're discovering what new abilities we have in the chat. Kat in the chat. How about that? All right, Dr. Seuss. So what were you saying? What's the new... Oh, yeah. What's the new ability here? What were you saying is the new ability?
There's a bunch of things that are open to us now that weren't before, but you know we can change the length of breaks if we need to, and there's also the thing of if we've got enough people in chat to take a vote on something, we can actually post a poll.
We can post polls now.
Yes.
That's seems a little dangerous. Well, you know, we've done stories about what happens when you let the public make decisions. That's how you get Bodie McBoatface.
Which personally I still think is fun.
You know, I guess it is fun, yes. But and Master, feel free to weigh in on this. You're in the chat, I know, Master Rasta 420. Hi. Is that the pride of his Royal Majesty's Navy, Bodie McBoatface? Is it still Bodie McBoatface? Yeah. So, but you know, polls. There's also something in the channel points where you can name the name generator, where you get to name the next thing. Long live Bodie McBoatface.
Yeah.
All right, Master. Here's to Bodie McBoatface, friends. So Darth Dragonis tested it out during our game on Thursday, and he ended up naming the shop owner Bob Ross.
So the shop owner in your D&D game.
Well, it was a specific shop.
Yeah.
It was the gaming shop, which there was a whole series of unfortunate die rolls that made it feel like a Benny Hill sketch winding up.
And now I've got a picture of a shop owner with a gaming shop and him just puttering around in the back with the miniatures, going, "We're just going to put a happy little dragon here, and we're going to put some fire over here." Now, doesn't that look delightful?
uh, yeah. I mean, yeah, more like I don't think. Oh, I didn't make war games available there, but I could. I could make war games available there. No, it's
It's a
more
game
like
shop. You've got
it's
the
more.
pieces that the kids have.
Well, no, it's more like a gift shop in a casino town.
Fair.
You know, and
That
the
kind of a game
happy
shop.
little accident was that he happily accidentally had weighted dice and marked cards for that could be used in any of the casinos in town.
Right.
That was the happy accident there. The unhappy accidents were that Dragonis didn't seem to be able to roll to notice that the guy had decided he wanted to try and sell bent gaming devices, game cheating devices to the halfling. Because, soon as the Dragonis wanted to do it in costume. So the halfling put on the human costume way too quick.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, okay, so he failed the perception roll to see that he was at the back door of the gaming shop. Made his dex check to get the costume on quickly and well, and did it right before the owner opened the door.
Mm-hmm.
Because the owner thought he saw a halfling dip down the alleyway and was going to try and sell the halfling, The owner failed his perception check to see that this was obviously, well, not obviously, but to see that this was the halfling in disguise.
Okay.
Dragonis then failed his intuition check to see that the shop owner was trying to help him. So he goes into the shop in costume, and the shop owner fails his second perception check so badly that this now human number 1 costume is a human number 1 costume of invisibility.
Of invisibility?
In quotations, it adds a negative to people's perception checks when they're looking at it. So
that has become very special.
Yeah. And it just kept going like this. He would fail his intuition check. The shop owners would fail their perception checks, and it was like a bunch of ones in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a whole bunch of ones in a row. And that's why I wasn't so surprised that night, Thursday night, with you, when I was rolling a couple of 20s in a row. I was like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Balance. I rolled a bunch of ones earlier. Time to roll some 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, they figured it out, and at that point, I felt like they'd been through enough that they could become friends almost. And that's when Dragonis used the channel points and it became Bob Ross.
Fair. Oh, very fair.
In the game session before that, So I really don't necessarily know what's going on in this town. Like I'm just kind of riding the wave of creativity. He was looking for a place to buy loaded dice and marked cards, right?
Right.
But he was so sure that he'd caught somebody looking shifty that was going to lead him to that. And they did, kind of. They led him past the gaming shop window where he was like, oh, maybe. And I, as DM, was like, maybe. But he continued to follow this guy, this shifty looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
So this shifty looking guy turns out to be picking up the secret ingredient for a barbecue restaurant. Completely silent barbecue restaurant. That Dragonis ends up going in. His character, Hashin Oil. Hashin Noil.
Right.
So he goes in. One of his character traits, one of his flaws, is that he is just a piggy little eater. He will just eat in the most disturbingly disgusting ways. Just shovels food into his mouth. No consideration for any sort of manners.
Right.
And he's a very tall halfling, which makes me think he's got 2 hollow legs and can just put food away.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow he ended up in an eating contest with the mayor of the city at this high-end barbecue restaurant in a casino city, in a gambling city.
Oh my.
And he won.
Oh, that's
It was delightful. It was a delightful little romp.
Yeah.
I was no clue where this was headed when he started following the shifty guy. I thought maybe the shifty guy was going to lead him somewhere where he'd be able to get, but nope. Instead of being able to put that together, instead of my imagination being able to make that happen, it set up this whole other situation, which took the rest of the gaming session. And everybody had fun.
Oh yeah. Good.
Even the mayor, who ended up way over full and a little embarrassed.
I mean, that's reasonable, but at least he didn't just throw y'all in jail for that.
Well, I mean, it's a gambling. Well, yeah, but it's a gambling city. Like, that was a fair competition.
Mm-hmm.
Why would the mayor be aggravated at losing a fair competition? And plus,
because some people are mean and don't like losing and don't understand that it is okay for them to lose.
I think a lot of the people in this land don't hold that feeling because this land is so successful in general. The premise is that this land has been taken over by the Lady Luck.
Ah.
So everybody there is so successful that there's no problem. Why would anybody be in a bad mood ever about anything?
Very cool.
And that's
That was
also
very cool.
it's also why the whole thing is, resort based.
Mm-hmm.
Gambling resort based. This whole little dukedom is
One giant resort.
right with with uh the most square games of luck around. Like the most likely to not cheat,
Mm-hmm.
because that's against the idea of luck. Um and half of what is going on here is, bringing people from all around to pray to the altars of luck by gaming.
Mm-hmm.
But the other half is finding cheaters and level farming them and taking their levels at the end. Like, get them to 13th level, take all of their levels, send them back through the level farm.
It's a pretty cool concept.
Yep. Thank you. I'm pretty happy with that. I said yup way too quickly. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was
It didn't bother me that you agreed too quickly.
yeah, I'm the ideas guy. That's right. I know what's up. No, it just seemed like okay, so this all started because I wanted a gambling character, right?
Right.
I wanted a character, a fast talking card shark named Kibitz.
Okay.
That's all I wanted. That's where this whole thing started. And Draconis wanted some more gaming time. He wasn't getting enough playing time or DMing time. He was just not feeling satisfied. So
Mm.
it was like, well, you know, we're both creative people. We're both capable of DMing and we're both capable of gaming. Let's do this idea. Let's trade off DMing, you know, set the whole thing to gambling, and that way we're both happy. And this is sort of where it worked out. Now, my character, the one thing is my character is not fast talking. My character speaks slowly.
Okay.
I'm playing the shortest Goliath.
Um.
Goliaths are giant kin.
So effectively, you've got the shortest giant and the tallest halfling on the face of the planet
Yep.
wandering around hunting cheaters.
No,
Well,
they are cheaters.
oh, so you're being hunted. Okay.
We're being farmed. Not
Mm.
hunted, farmed. Yes. We're both cheating characters. We both have, you know. Now, I have a feeling that his character is going to tend less and less, more and more towards the good alignment, and my character is going to tend more and more away from that.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how it ends up at the end. At level 13. And so far, our characters have only sort of crossed paths a couple of times. We don't even know each other really yet. So this
Oh.
is Yeah, this is a setup for a whole situation.
I can see why you had the Benny Hill overtones happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Yep.
yep. I mean, yes, bad roles or consistently low roles can do that, but it's already
Oh.
kind of set up anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like the whole yes. It was not unlike it's not unlike the Peanut Gallery's low roll on initiative when his character was only halfway through the trap door. Sort of like, yeah, tracks. That's why he goes last. He's only halfway through the trap door.
Yep.
Was that Kevin agreeing?
No, that's Kevin begging for attention.
Oh.
Kevin is now sitting staring at me very pointedly, trying to convince me to pick up the stick.
Yo, human, play with me.
There are days where that's definitely
The
the
vibe you're
feedback that
getting.
I'm getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so we're we still don't have anything really to on the docket to talk about.
I came up across one thing that I wanted to. Well, one is an update thing that I was gonna put in the script, but we can talk about it.
Okay.
The other is a picture that I have put in the chat. So we'll talk about the update thing, and then we can talk about the picture in chat.
All right.
All right. So for most of March and April, we were following the Fairfax County case against the public schools with the
Mm-hmm.
girl.
Mm-hmm.
They finally, it took them forever, but they finally reached a conclusion on that. And she lost.
Okay, now remind us what the case was.
Um, the girl, the girl in question who went through this pretty much anonymously, as far as the court records go,
Mm-hmm.
um, alleged that there were assaults and other things that happened while she attended Fairfax County Public Schools.
Okay.
And that despite the things that had been put in from previous things that had happened, um, she was still assaulted. The information and data that they were supposed to be backing up on a daily basis was still somehow lost magically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that they didn't do anything to fix it.
Right.
Um,
But she's still lost.
she still lost. It was they had 25, I want to say 25 days of trial that they had to go through. And the entire time, the lawyers, which it's been noted, they have paid well over, like, I'd have to go back and look at the script for the exact number, but they paid in excess of $20 million in legal fees in the last, like, 6 years, with a big chunk of them going towards fighting this particular case. Fairfax County has. So their extremely expensive lawyers spent a lot of their time basically saying, well, she sent messages to the people in question, so therefore she liked them, so she must have agreed with what happened. Meanwhile, the current president-elect of the Virginia Bar Association is on retainer for the Fairfax County Public Schools, and he was busy passing out business cards in the courtroom to the people in the gallery.
Wow. I wonder if that feels a little conflict of interest-y, sleazy, I don't know.
It should be. It really should be.
Unethical?
Yes, definitely. That definitely should be unethical. So, the lawyers for the schools basically called into question her truthfulness, her sanity, and pulled up every message that she ever sent during a time period and tried to point out, well, she agreed with this despite everything. Her side did a reasonable job, but if you go look through the links for the Fairfax County reports that I've been sharing, they're in the script page. The journalist that covered this is pretty fair, and even they were just horribly upset over how prejudicial the courtroom was. In their words, walking in on day one, it felt like they'd walked into the good old boys club and not a courtroom.
That is a bit of a scathing indictment.
Yeah.
In and of itself, that sentence carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not surprised that she lost. This is not a
No.
surprise to us. But it feels like a blatant mishandling of the situation. Do we feel
Oh, yeah.
like she's won in the court of public opinion?
Yes. Yes. Like I said, the journalist was pretty fair in how they were reporting and covering things.
Can you post this link in the stream chat right now?
In the stream chat, give me a minute. I'll pull that up. I've got it. I've got it elsewhere. Let me see.
In the Twitch stream chat.
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling
Okay.
up. But let me pull it
Well,
up.
this is upsetting, to say the
It is.
least.
All
Oh,
right. I'm going to give you the link for day 22 of the trial.
okay.
That's the first one. That's the first link I've got to the reporter.
Okay.
But the reporter did really, really well in their coverage.
And we'll try to remember to put this link in the YouTube video. In the description for the YouTube video.
Let me see. Let's see. I'm looking to see if I can find the conclusion one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pull up the conclusion and post that one in the chat as well.
Okay.
Let's see.
So it brings up another this in a very loose association brings up another failure of the schools at the moment. The crackdowns on the student protests.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a bit intense. And an unwarranted reaction on, I think that no, not I think. I know that you don't need to call in the state police for a student protest. I know when that starts happening, you end up with another Kent state. Like,
Mm.
let me not equivocate on this matter. It is wrong of the administration and the state to be treating these things this way. Uh, you know, I'm not even necessarily inclined to say good people on both sides. I feel like the student protesters are protesting for a cause that they very strongly believe in, and they're doing it in places that they're allowed to do it. They're exercising free speech in ways that they're supposed to be allowed to. And they're receiving a violent reaction, an oppressive violent reaction, on the thinnest of pretenses. And so it is not an equivalent situation, I don't believe. There's that other link.
Took me a little bit to find where it went, because while I appreciate the coverage that Fairfax Times gave to this, some of their menu stuff trying to navigate is
a little difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I also want to reiterate one more time that advocating for human rights and advocating for an end to suffering is never anti-Semitic. Let me make that clear.
I still wish that we could just grab up the various leaders and go put them in a box and be like, come out when you're done.
You know.
Leave the rest of us alone.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, here in the U.S., we're set up for the WWE. We've got the steel cage matches all the time. Here's your cage. Do this.
Here's your cage. Here are your folding chairs. Here's your barbed wire wrapped around a ladder. Have fun.
Or whatever.
Go ahead. Here's your tape measures. Go ahead and pull them out. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Every so often, someone can lob a bottle of water and some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in, and they can just figure it out.
Right. This is exhausting. This kind of, oh man, what's going on right now? And we aren't even touching that there are other problems in other places, but just with Israel and with Ukraine, and on the home front here, the political infighting, it's just, that is exhausting in and of itself. But then there are also places, Sudan and the other one. Oh gosh, that's embarrassing. I don't want to say something and then be wrong.
Yeah. Sudan and the other one, which we cannot think of right this second.
Right? This is the problem with going off script. This is the problem with going off script. No research. But yeah, Sudan and there are these other just absolutely, I mean, that aren't getting any press.
Mm-hmm.
These other conflicts, they're
Mm-hmm.
It can be tiring, and it can lead us to want to get get discouraged and go, well, F it.
Yeah.
Hey, Retro Future Now is in the chat, out driving, just
Hey, dude.
popping by to say hi. This sense of exhaustion, and how about that AOC and MTG? I don't know. I'm not sure what the AOC. I figure AOC is Andrea Ocasio-Cortez. MTG, not sure.
I don't know. Does she play Magic the Gathering?
If she did, that's kind of cool.
Oh, her.
Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, this whole AOC MTG thing.
Can we go back to just having Alexandria playing Magic and leave Green out of this?
I'd like to think that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is card sharking Marjorie Taylor Greene at Magic the Gathering, and like getting her to lose all these rare alpha cards like Black Lotus, Leviathan, or these rare beta cards like the Demonic Lawyers, like the whole demonic set. The whole demonic legal team set. Ooh.
Ooh, you just had the same thought I did, didn't you?
I don't even have a stick long enough in here to say that I'm not touching it with a stick longer than this. This is there. This is me. This is me not going there.
Okay.
Wow, that was smarter people than me are covering that whole situation.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all don't need our take on it. It's a joke in and of itself.
Now that we've been derailed, let's go on to the next thing.
Oh, jeez.
Alright, so if you can look at your picture there in chat.
All right, let's see what we're looking at.
Yes, you have. Thank you, Retro. Alright, have you seen this picture this week?
This is the new portrait of His Royal Majesty.
Alright. Have you seen
King Charles the Pretender, third.
Right. And have you seen what they've been comparing it to this week?
No.
Go on to the next picture down.
Viggy, you've been a bad monkey.
Yes. It has been compared in a couple of different places. I personally one of the fashion people that I watch on TikTok and YouTube.
I knew it looked familiar.
Talk about this.
I knew it looked familiar. I was looking at it going, I don't know. I feel like I've seen the. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But this has become big enough of a talking point that there is a BBC article about it comparing them.
Yay. I want to see this article at some point. We will we will cover it in the next, episode.
Yeah, no, I will bookmark that article so we can go to talking about it because
oof, that is fun. Retro says, okay. Retro said, I served my purpose and derailment. Thank you, Retro. Okay, a ride came in and I'm taking off. Have a good rest of stream. Thank you, Retro. Have a safe journey. Oh, that was a left turn car crash. And then Vigo the Destroyer, His Royal Majesty. I
Yeah, I thought that would be something you'd appreciate.
Yeah.
Appreciate the similarities there somehow.
That was a good one. That caught me off guard.
And given how much people have been talking about that, I am curious to see if that's on Wait, Don't Tell Me.
Well, I wouldn't know because I haven't listened to this week's episode yet. I'm waiting for tomorrow.
Right, so you can beat me again with the flash round.
Maybe. Although I've been off my game this week. I haven't. I've been off my game. I've gotten so little actually done. I don't know if I picked up any news in the brain this week other than the Drake Kendrick beef where J. Cole's catching strays. Poor J. Cole. Hey, Chris into 386. And JoJo Siwa's revolutionary. Oh my god. Why? Why do I know these things though? Like, okay, I get the Drake, I get the whole I just said his name. Kendrick Drake. I get the whole Kendrick Drake. I understand why that's. Oh, we're in ad break. We can come back and talk about Kendrick and Drake and all of that. But yeah, my attention's been nowhere productive.
Yeah.
Just been.
I'm bad. I've been listening to my favorite Canadian lawyer lose his mind over this Massachusetts trial.
The Massachusetts.
Yes. Yes. The one big thing is they're talking. Oh, if you leave any of the actual investigation stuff alone, they spend all of their time trying to talk about how severe the snowstorm was the night that all of these events happened. And then you see pictures of the snow that actually fell, you see pictures of the snow as it's falling, you see video, all of that. And they're talking about how it was a blizzard and how it was extremely cold and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like it was not that.
It was
like
so
it would have been a difficult snowstorm for here, but it wasn't. Even here, you wouldn't have counted it as a blizzard.
Okay, so it was a mild snowstorm. Okay, so what are they actually on? What's the trial actually about?
The general thing is they're saying that this lady either on purpose or accidentally killed her fiance.
Okay.
That's the thing. But so far we've gotten into I don't know what days, like 14 or 15 of this trial, and the prosecution has called literally everybody, their brother and their cousin,
to talk about the weather.
And they haven't they haven't even technically proved that the guy is dead yet. They've proved that it was snowing. They proved that everybody showed up at the same house, and that's about the only thing they've honestly proved. They've also proved about collection techniques for evidence and what they view as acceptable.
But we don't know if the guy's actually dead. And
I
this
mean,
is a murder trial?
yeah.
Murder / manslaughter.
But still, other things
But we don't know that the victim is dead yet.
They haven't brought in a coroner. They haven't brought in.
Do they have a body?
I mean, they've got.
Do they?
Well, there was a funeral. They did outside of the courtroom. Everybody knows the guy did die, but inside the courtroom, as far as an evidence chain goes, they haven't even proven how he died yet.
Okay.
There's been nothing to prove anything other than the fact that it snowed. That is literally all the prosecution has brought evidence of. That it snowed, and that literally every person in this town is apparently related to each other. I think I mentioned this to you briefly last weekend when I mentioned the fact that they were collecting evidence using solo cups.
Yep. I remember the solo cup evidence.
And a leaf blower.
Okay. Well, all of a sudden this starts to, piece together a little bit worse.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, oh, jeez. I mean, what makes the prosecution think that she did? Never mind. No, never mind. No. This is too deep of a. No. This is an Ouroboros. Sorry.
Yes.
This is an Ouroboros type of situation I can see us getting into. Where as we research it, we find out that the snake is in fact eating its own tail.
Yeah, no. I'm having fun watching other people
and
discuss
is its own cousin.
Yep.
Family trees that don't have branches give me a headache.
Yeah. It is.
Well, it's not that they don't have branches. It's just that all the branches come back together.
Right.
It's not a family tree so much.
So, now that we have diverted from that tangent back to Kendrick and Drake.
Oh, yeah, Kendrick and Drake and J. Cole catching strays. So, yeah, I know way more about this than I want to. But somehow it does seem vaguely appropriate to be aware of because it is something that is going on in popular culture. It is affecting cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And it does bring up the question of can you like the art? Can you separate the art from the artist? At least it's doing that for Drake fans.
Mm-hmm.
Can you still like a Drake song even though he's a questionable person at best? For a lot of reasons. Also, how in the sort of even more gray area of it is, how do you feel about J. Cole, who accidentally ended up on the Drake track, who may be looking back going, oops, I'm on the wrong side of history with that one. I've personally,
I mean, if you're sticking with that same genre of art, you can go back like a month ago and have the same questions about Sean Combs.
you can. Sean Combs never tried to pretend that he wasn't something that he was, I think.
Um,
He's been he he is yeah, he's a hard person. He's a hard guy, and you know it's believable. Those accusations are believable. Uh, and Sean Combs, but nobody is gonna tell him. Nobody's gonna come up to him and say anything like that, really, because Sean Combs does have the backing to. I'm choosing my words very carefully around him because to quote Aaron Magruder, I don't want to get killed. I know how these people are, and I paraphrase Aaron Magruder. I know he is not a person to F around with, and
okay,
not just in a litigious sense. He couldn't
that
just sue the pants off of me. He doesn't just have better lawyers than me.
yeah,
Other people talk about the kind of stuff that he could do. Other rappers rap about it. He probably
right.
did it.
So that's my point. Is right. He may not have been pretending anything, but still, if you're going to base
Well,
you're sticking to something
I mean, I don't.
on choices that another person has made.
Yeah, I personally don't really like. I've never really liked Sean Combs. I've never really liked Puff Daddy. Like his music just didn't grab me.
Mm, that's fair.
So I'm not in the fandom there.
Mm,
I think the difference between him and Drake is he's about that life, Drake isn't.
right.
I'd like to point out that you and I are both very melaninly challenged to be speaking on this subject.
Yep.
But from an outsider's perspective, what the difference I see is that Drake is not about that life, and Drake does not represent the constituency that he pretends to, whereas Kendrick has been very true to himself and honest about who he is. And there was no real reveal in any of Drake's shots at Kendrick, whereas Kendrick dropped some reveals about Drake that we believe,
Yeah.
that we find credible. So, but
Yeah.
again, I'm looking at this from an outsider's perspective. Also, I'm biased. I happen to like Kendrick's music and don't really care about Drake's music.
No. For me, I'm not. That's not a genre of music that I'm really into, just in general. There are some things I can listen to, but I can't tell you who did them unless you show me the track.
Understandable. Understandable. I mean, not every type of music is going to appeal to every person.
Just like not everybody's art's going to appeal to everybody.
Right.
And
And
I've got I
man,
have the fine arts view of things, which is you can like a painting or something done by somebody and be a fan of their art and not be a fan of them because it happened 400, 500 years ago. And if that is true because it's 400, 500 years ago, then that should also carry over and be true now.
I do not hold
To
that
a point.
view. I do not hold that view. I believe that context is very important when looking at art in its entirety, because the fine arts, those aesthetic uh, rules, those aesthetic ideals were based on a flawed concept, on flawed concepts, or at least in my opinion, flawed. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, we're talking. This is subjective, but uh, but but also based on actually factually untrue things as well. So yeah, these beauty standards held in the past were exclusionary in a lot of ways, and that has to be viewed as part of the context of the pieces of art that are being made, you know. And I think that context is very, very important. And I think it's as important with older art as it is with newer art. You know, it's important that we hold the that we view the art that is created today in the context of our our morals and ethics, as well as the morals and ethics with which they were created. Um, you know, I know it sounds like a lot of extra work just to look at a pretty picture or listen to some nice music, but to exist in the world and not understand why listening to Wagner might make your Jewish neighbor uncomfortable, you know, or to exist in the world and not understand why your your poster of Benjamin Netanyahu might make your Palestinian neighbor uncomfortable. You know, it's it, did I just slyly call Benjamin Netanyahu a Nazi?
The
Huh.
comparison
Was there. It
was
was
loosely
there.
there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I'll stand with that. I'll stand behind that statement. I'm good with it.
yeah. No.
Um,
I get what you're saying.
yeah, context is really, really important. You know, without context, without context, the understanding of the dynamic between Smaug and the One Ring evaporates.
Mm,
There's no connection between the two of them other than some little guy wore a magic ring to steal from the dragon. It's not the context in which that was written was that the destructive power of the pre-nuclear weapons was a horrifying monster in and of itself. You know, Smaug represented the firebombing of Dresden.
Yes.
And that left an indelible mark on Tolkien.
Mm-hmm.
The One Ring represents the ability of nuclear weapons. And with that, yeah, Smaug wasn't inherently evil, more like greedy and lazy. But that, you know, that sort of context. Hi, Dragonus. Good to see ya. That context is important, I feel, in understanding this relationship to how the One Ring supplanted Smaug. You know, it wasn't just a silly little ring. It was the weapon that could destroy Smaug. It was the weapon that made him obsolete. And that his last throes of life, as he's taken out by Bard of Lake Town with the Black Arrow, is that sort of what Tolkien hoped would be the last throes of conventional, bloody trench warfare that he had witnessed, that was so awful and destructive in the two world wars that he was you know, that were in his lifetime. And I think, you know, you can't, just like you can't look at, I mean, you can read that all out of context and have a great time, but I think you're missing the point at that point. His point was to point out how awful war was. And I feel like, you know, and I feel like artwork viewed outside of context stops conveying a message. You know, let me see if I can think of a good example of this that we haven't already touched on.
Nope.
Please feel free to weigh in.
I'm listening.
Okay.
Like I said, my thing is, art is supposed to make you feel something. Visual, musical, whatever kind of art you've got. So, taking Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit as an example, if you read it and you don't have that background context and you like it, and then learn about the context and you're like, I really, really hate war.
I think we're about to go into an ad break.
Yeah. But, you know, really hate war.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you don't need context to enjoy art.
Well, it's not so much that as the fact that you should have the context. You are correct in that one. But first and foremost, art is supposed to make you feel something.
Yes, that is fair.
So if it still makes you feel that thing after you've got the context, then there should be some acknowledgement that the art itself is not the same as the creator of the art.
True.
And I've the Peanut Gallery pointed out something that in works of art that are several years or decades or centuries old, it's really easy to appreciate the art itself because the artist is no longer around to personally benefit from them.
Ah, I see. I see where the line gets drawn. The line being drawn at, can bad people benefit from the art? It's can the artist take your enjoyment of their art as a complicity with their opinions?
Right.
Sort of like J.K. Rowling is doing with anything Harry Potter right now. You know, she's leaning on the argument that people are buying this stuff, so she must be right. They must agree with her because they're still making, she's still making money from it. And
So if we draw that line, then what I would say is, if you've got your context and whatever art you've already purchased or seen is still appealing to you, enjoy and let it appeal to you, and don't purchase anything further from that artist and don't share it any further.
there you go. I can see that. I can see that. Dragonis says there is corruption in art. Yes, bad people can use art to an advantage.
I mean,
agreed. And yeah. I think, I think your position is a fairly safe one, Kat. That's I find that context affects my ability to enjoy art. Let's take another example. R. Kelly. Hitler did it with everything. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
R. Kelly. I'm not comparing him to Hitler, by the way. This is a, separate thing. There are some R. Kelly songs that I really like. And dang it, if he's not a great singer and but when I really started to understand, when it was really came to the fore of my mind who he was, like what was really wrong with him, or I don't want to say what was wrong with him, but what was going on there, I was like, I believe I can fly. I believe it has flown. I believe I am done. Right. And I just couldn't enjoy that. Having that context made his work much less enjoyable for me.
So that goes back to the same thing of, if you know the context,
right,
and you still feel the same way, then that's one thing. If you know the context and it makes you feel different now, that's something different.
Yes, and that's sort of where my line is like, generally, if I know the context, my taste for the art drops. And I'd rather know the context and find the art distasteful than be blissfully ignorant. I don't... Dragonis, by the way, asked the question, where do you draw the line? And what Kat had said earlier is, draw the line at, are bad people still profiting from the art? Are the people who, are people taking that as an implicit endorsement of their behavior? And with the artists dead and gone, it's a lot easier to be like, well, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even so, even with the artists dead and gone, like with Wagner, my taste for the art is changed by the context of the person. When I find out that an artist was really a really bad person, or, you know, aligned themselves with really bad people, my taste for the art decreases. And that's just me. That's just personal. You know, everybody is allowed to have their own take, but I think people need to be aware of what that. The art itself is innocent. Dragona says the art itself is innocent, and I do agree. The art is innocent in a vacuum, but it's never in a vacuum, and not all art is innocent. Actually, you know, a lot of art is created in a propagandic way. You know, yeah.
Oh,
And
you're not wrong.
and you know, and what makes me say this is that book, Darth Dragonis says, choosing to support the artist is on the consumer. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm not gonna get back into classic art, you know, classic beauty standards.
No.
Let's focus in on this thing that let's focus in on Harry Potter.
Okay.
And I don't know if people have heard me say this before. The series itself has problems. That is not innocent art. There is stuff in there that is not acceptable. There's stuff in there that I find personally offensive. I'm not going to say it's unacceptable. It's not. It's just I find it offensive. There's stuff in there that I find offensive on behalf of other people as well, which is, I try to keep my mouth shut about feeling that offense, but also I don't keep my mouth shut about it. For instance, let's start with the Goblin Bankers at Gringotts. I mean, that is some distasteful, anti-Semitic, Jew trope, just wrapped up in this whole little ball of yuck and just thrown at us like, oh, and this is normal. And I feel it's desensitizing to those anti-Semitic tropes. It's trying to desensitize us to those anti-Semitic tropes. It is not innocent. In the same way that I feel like J.K. Rowling spending 10 books punishing Hermione for performing feminism wrong. I think that isn't innocent. That's not innocent art. No, that's actively saying there is a right way and a wrong way to perform feminism. And that, like, at a basic level, I disagree with that. I believe that, well, there are definitely wrong ways to perform feminism, but I think any performance of feminism that's done in good faith, you know, there are many right ways to do it too. There's not just one way to do this. And And that's the one that I find offensive on someone else's behalf. But I don't want a white knight and be like, you know, I'll fight this injustice for women. Like, you know, I've got plenty of other injustices with Rowling to fight. And, you know, Dragonis says that's why we don't give her money, and that is on Rowling, and he's right. That is why we don't give her money, and that is on Rowling. And she takes the fact that people keep buying her, you know, buying that stuff. She takes that as complicity. She takes it as Harry Potter is just a ripoff of Star Wars. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And Star Wars was just a very good ripoff of Akira Kurosawa films. Not just The Seven Samurai, but the other one too. And I am whiffing on what the other one was. Dune. I don't think Akira Kurosawa made a Dune film. Although, man, I would watch that. Star Wars is a ripoff of Dune.
Oh.
That's what he was saying. You know, I want to say yes. I do. Because, you know, Dune's like my jam. That's my stuff. That's my... But I also feel like Star Wars, it might have meant to have ripped off Dune, and I know it did. I know it did. You're absolutely right, Dragonis. It did. But it is something so completely different that I feel like comparing them is oranges and apples. You know, they are completely different stories. And I personally love them both. I love both of the universes. And I'm glad that George Toyboy Lucas ripped off Dune, you know. And I'm glad he ripped off all those World War II dogfight movies, because that made for some good viewing, you know. The X-wing TIE fighter dogfights were, for their time, oh my God, they were incredible. It was life changing. Of course, now, when you go back and watch them now, it's a little less. So, it's a little like, ooh. How did we not see those effects? But...
Well, because, you know, we didn't know better.
Right. And I will say, you know, when Darth Vader entered the Yavin starship, when he first stepped on board and you heard that breathing and, you know, I mean, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when I look back at it, part of what terrified me about it is that it was a brightly lit corridor. It wasn't dark and spooky and scary. No, it was brightly lit.
Mm.
And these people were just getting wiped out. Like, it was like, oh gosh. You mean I'm not safe in the light either? Ah!
Being scared of the dark is something everyone has. Learning that you can be scared in the daylight is something else.
Yeah. Yes. Battlestar Galactica has the best dogfights in space. I have not seen the old Battlestar Galactica, but the new one I went through with Dragonis, and it was amazing. And their dogfights are incredible. Their dogfights are really the best. I'm just absolutely in love with that show. Yep. Yes, I do like the new BSG a lot. And by new, I guess it's not that new anymore, is it?
Well, no.
The
No, but
Daystar
when you
frightens
compare
us. Yes, yes, it does. Turn out the lights. Ah. um, I do kind of want to go back and watch the old Battlestar Galactica, like the 70s one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I can make myself. I really don't know if I can make myself.
It's been a while since I watched that one, but I have watched it.
I was still on the farm when it was on, when it was airing, and you know, we weren't allowed TV on the farm, and we were especially not allowed violent TV on the farm. Um Doctor Who very much walked the line of as violent as we would have been allowed to see. Maybe
Yeah.
sometimes more violent than was okay
Yeah.
on the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
there was a period where
I
we had
mean,
signed up for like Dish Network or DSS satellite or whatever it was, but the TV got stuck on just one channel, which was TV Land.
yeah. uh,
So yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we got everything from Green Acres and Petticoat Junction down
To,
to MASH and MacGyver and the A-Team and the older Battlestar Galactica.
I say that violence wasn't allowed on the farm, like we weren't, but we watched a lot of Star Trek and Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I will say this. The A-Team has a far better casualty record than either Star Trek or Star Wars.
who has a better casualty record?
A-Team.
Oh yeah. A-Team, but A-Team used guns.
They had them, but pretty much the general premise was you lock them in a junkyard and then they create something that lets them escape and everybody still lives.
Also, A-Team glorified military and
This is
police,
true. This is true.
and those were two things that were straight out on the farm. Dragonis says, just like art, they drew a line with the doctor. Yep. Yeah, it was a very much of a on the farm, like there was an odd dichotomy of what was allowed on the farm and what wasn't. You know, anything that made fun of cops was allowed. You know, Blues Brothers was a favorite.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Well, for a reason. Also, one of the farm's products was in the movie.
Really?
Yeah. And this is part of the RRG, the real reality game, is if you can figure out which scene it was, and I'll give you some hints. Like, you gotta find the frame, really. I'll give you some hints. It was in the mall. But one of the farm's products was featured in a frame in the mall. Now, featured is a bit of a strong word.
Well, yeah.
But
Spotted. It was spotted.
yes, and the way you know it was one of our products is hint incoming. It's on the bottom part of the screen, Dragonus says. It is. Okay. Good to know. The farm had a contract with Pier 1 Imports at the time. And they were the only supplier of this specific good to Pier 1 Imports at the time.
Huh. Well, I have sent you my guess. I sent it before you got your hint out.
Where did you send it?
Messenger, because that's what I had up first.
You are correct. But you also know the farm.
Well, I know a little bit more about it than others.
Right.
But yes.
But if I were to say that, might be a bit much of a clue as to... Dragonus knows what it is. He's the one who said it's on the bottom part of the screen. In that frame that you stop it, it will be on the bottom part of the screen.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's also the other reason I sent it via messengers that way. Anybody else playing along at home can go through their own work and they can't check chat for it.
Right. We are in an ad break.
Yeah.
And I think we're actually
we have wound down a bit.
Yeah, I think we're at about the end of the
It's definitely been an interesting discussion.
It has been. It has been an interesting discussion. I believe I'm going to go ahead and put this up on YouTube. I don't see why not. I
don't think we got too bad.
Yeah. Seeing as how it doesn't tell me... okay. There's the ad. I kind of want to wait till we come back from ad break to leave.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah. Just in case anybody out there isn't subscribed. Oy vey. So, tomorrow we're doing another episode of Liberal Laugh Hour.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Looking forward to it. I really would like to put them up on YouTube, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't know if we... Yeah.
I mean, can we, email them and ask their permission?
I called them and asked their permission. And they said, we don't know. Give it a shot and find out. And that felt a bit like, F around and find out, why don't you, buddy? And I was like, no. I feel like what we're doing right now with it is enough.
Yeah. In that case, yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be like, yeah, great, get it in writing.
Right.
Post at the beginning of each one.
Exactly. Well, friends, thank you for joining us. Now is the time when we say, stick around for the raid. Also, 2 up, 2 down. VA, double deuces. We're out, y'all.